This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on Carvana. Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. When you hydrate with Liquid IV, you're powered by Hydroscience. Hydroscience is Liquid IV's science-backed formula with an optimized ratio of electrolytes, vitamins, and nutrients. Experience great-tasting hydration for mental clarity, physical endurance, and overall well-being. Sip into something that up-levels every moment. Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Visit us at liquidiv.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive, a leader in boat insurance. Welcome aboard to Carefree Boating. Here, we don't worry about the what-ifs, because we explore with Progressive Boat Insurance for as little as $100 per year for a basic liability policy. Progressive also offers a variety of other coverages and can help you cover repair costs when you need it. And with discounts like multi-policy, safety courses, responsible driver, and more, your mind can really float free. Cruise on over to Progressive.com to get a quote today and see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Rate and discounts not available in all states or situations.
Welcome back to the Murder Diaries. I'm Paige.
And I'm Natalie.
As always, if you want to listen ad-free, head over to patreon.com/The Murder Diaries pod. In January of 2000, 32-year-old Kimberly Morse returned to her basement floor apartment in North Providence, Rhode Island from work around 1:45 a.m. An unknown person is believed to have attacked her just after she set her keys down, leaving her no time to fight back as they slit her throat from behind. Kim was left to bleed out on her kitchen floor. 15 hours later, her neighbor called 911 to report smoke coming from her apartment. Firefighters arrived to find that Kim's body had been placed into her bathtub, soaked in gasoline, and set on fire. 25 years later, Kim's case remains unsolved and with very few leads. This is her story.
Used to think it's in my head, I'm walking with the dead.
Kimberly Sue Morse, known to friends and family as Kimmy, was born on January 24th, 1967 in York, Maine, to Eddie and Ruth Morse. Kimberly was the youngest of 4 children and was truly the baby of the family, with the sibling closest to her age being 13 years older than she was. Her sisters, Sandy and Kathy, and brother Carl were just as surprised as their parents were when Kimberly entered the world. The Morse family lived in a home on Beach Ridge Road and had multiple aunts, uncles, and cousins who lived nearby. York was a small rural town, and Sandy, Kim's older sister, told WPRI that it was the kind of town that you could look back on during adulthood and be thankful you grew up in. From the moment Kimberly was born, she was engulfed in love. She was full of energy and loved being involved in everything. Kimberly was a bit of a prankster and loved to trick her loved ones. One time, she had her whole family and the neighborhood out searching the streets for her when she disappeared. Finally, her father found her hiding inside of their dryer. Her father was so livid that he immediately went out to buy a padlock and installed it on the dryer door. Because Kim was so much younger than her siblings, she fell into an awkward spot. Her older brother and sisters were almost like parents to her sometimes. They made sure that she did her schoolwork and would even meet her teachers. Her older sister, Sandy, who was 17 years older when Kim was born, later told WPRI, "This little bundle of joy comes into our life. You had 5 adults taking care of this one little girl. There was always somebody right there ready to pick her up and hug her. And so that was the type of start she had." As Kim entered her teenage years, her siblings began having their own children. Aunt Kim became what her sister Sandy referred to as the Pied Piper, as all of Kim's nieces and nephews followed her around. She loved to play with them and entertain them, while the kids idolized her every move. Sandy's favorite picture of her sister captured Kim teaching her son how to flip the bird with his middle finger. Kim was a girl who loved adventure. She craved the excitement and endorphin rush she'd get from a spontaneous trip or a last-minute decision to change plans. Kim loved meeting new people and rarely met a stranger. She didn't have time to join band or participate in sports as a student because she was always looking for the next new thing to try. In 1985, Kim graduated from high school, ready for the next adventure, with her chosen quote from the yearbook reading, "You've got to make the most of every day because it may all be gone before you know it." After high school graduation, Kim dove into the world of health and wellness. She started spending time at the gym, doing aerobics classes and strength workouts. Eventually, she started weightlifting and got into bodybuilding. In conjunction with her super active lifestyle, Kim was eating healthy. She was waking up early and spending her days moving and hanging out with friends. Being that it was the 80s, she kept her hair big and blonde and always maintained her tan. It seemed as though Kim was making the most of her 20s and enjoying her life to the fullest. With no serious commitments, Kim was able to travel and take weekend trips. Some of those trips were within driving distance, but sometimes she even made it down to Florida, the Virgin Islands, and Hawaii. Occasionally, Kim would let these trips last for a bit, even getting odd jobs around town wherever she was. Her heart was with warmer weather, and her mind was always looking for ways to keep summer going. Kim loved spending evenings with friends, getting dressed up and doing her hair and makeup, and partying at different bars and clubs. Sometimes they'd spend the night losing at pool or dancing or drinking cheap beer at a dive bar. With that, Kim liked to go out and have a drink, but never really got drunk. Personality was outgoing enough, and she didn't need alcohol to have fun. Kim was the party. During the summertime, Kim entered a bikini contest and won. Excited about that cash prize, she began entering more. Sandy remembered that one time her sister entered a bikini contest in Florida. Instead of doing her normal strut across the stage, Kim mooned the entire crowd, which was 100% Kim. The crowd loved it. Kim worked several jobs around York, all involving being around people. She worked as a waitress at a local hospital, as a candy striper, drove limousines, cleaned rooms at a hotel. She painted and rebuilt houses with a friend in St. Croix after a hurricane. Whatever she was doing, Kim loved interacting and working with others, and she usually left them smiling. There was once a 5-year-old girl named Heather who lived down the street from Kim's parents that Kim took special interest in. The little girl worshipped Kim, and Kim felt the same way. She would often take her on adventures and short trips. You see, Heather's mother, who was reportedly friends with Kim, had moved to Florida and left Heather in York to be raised by her grandmother, which no doubt left her feeling abandoned. Kim took it upon herself to make sure that Heather felt loved and wanted. At one point in time, there was a possibility that she was going to be placed into foster care. Kim offered to officially adopt Heather. Fortunately, Heather's grandmother was able to maintain care of her. Though many were in awe of Kim essentially becoming a second mom to Heather, Kim felt incredibly lucky to be in Heather's life. That was how Kim worked. Though she was a light in everyone's life, she also saw how fortunate she was to have her friends and family around to support her. In 1997, as Kim was approaching her 30th birthday, she decided to leave York. Although she'd often return to visit her family, Kim was excited for the new opportunities after her move to North Providence, Rhode Island. She started taking classes at the Warwick Academy of Beauty Culture, working towards becoming a certified esthetician. Kim loved performing and had been able to make money in the past in dancing contests, so she began working at the Foxy Lady Gentlemen's Club to help pay for her classes and her rent. Kim didn't take any chances. She understood the risks that came with the line of work that she was in and did everything possible to make sure that she was safe. To protect herself, she took self-defense classes and carried mace. It also took her a while to decide where to dance at because she wanted to find a dance club that prioritized keeping their dancers safe. Foxy Lady was chosen because it had rules that were put in place to ensure the safety of their dancers. For example, the dancers weren't allowed to leave with customers. They were required to sign in and out of the building, and each dancer was walked to their car by a club bouncer at the end of their shift. Though there were plenty of connotations that went along with being in that line of work, Kim didn't let them bother her. She continued to focus on her schoolwork and maintaining her healthy lifestyle. Kim stayed with friends for a bit in Providence until she found her own apartment. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit about 15 minutes from Foxy Lady. Her apartment was a basement unit in a 3-floor condominium building called the Brick Manor Condominiums. It didn't take Kim long to start feeling like she was at home in Providence. She made friends, including some of the girls that she was dancing with at Foxy Lady. No surprise to anyone that knew Kim, she was extremely popular with the patrons at the club. Not only did they tip her well, They paid some of her bills and bought her expensive gifts. One patron even bought her a car. There's no doubt that Kim was beautiful, but what really drew people to her was her charm. Her sister Sandy told the Seacoast Online, "Kim was someone incredibly special. You can't think of my sister without smiling."
During Christmas of 1999, Kim took several weeks off from work and returned home to York to visit her family. Everyone was excited to see her and hear about how she was thriving in Providence. But they had no idea that it'd be the last time they'd see her.
Around 5 p.m. on Wednesday, January 19th, 2000, the fire alarm in Kim's apartment began beeping loudly. One of her neighbors smelled smoke and went out to find that there was indeed smoke billowing out from underneath Kim's door. The neighbor called 911 and firefighters responded immediately. They forced entry into the apartment and found that it was fully engulfed in dark smoke. Firefighters were immediately concerned that the fire was suspicious because the apartment smelled strongly of gasoline. As they slowly made their way through the apartment, they discovered that the fire had originated in the bathroom, specifically inside the bathtub. When firefighters extinguished the flames, they were stunned to find the deceased body of 32-year-old Kimberly Morse inside the bathtub. When the North Providence Police Department arrived on scene, they immediately recognized that they were dealing with a homicide. Kim's nude body was face up in the bathtub with gasoline-soaked towels covering her legs and torso. She'd been stabbed multiple times and her throat was slit. Once the smoke cleared from the apartment, detectives weren't surprised to find blood throughout. Lieutenant Thomas Jones told WPRI that regarding the scene, it was, quote, "one of the worst I've ever seen." Kim's keys and gloves were found sitting on the kitchen counter, which led detectives to surmise that Kim had arrived home, removed her gloves, and put her keys down, then was attacked. Her winter coat had cuts in it, which made investigators believe that she was stabbed while it was still on. She hadn't even had a chance to take her coat off. The York Police Department was tasked with notifying the Morse family. That knock on the family's door in the middle of the night changed everything for them.
Captain Paul Marino of the North Providence Police Department said that he felt as though the person who attacked Kim was waiting for her to arrive home. When she finally did, the person cut her throat from behind, leaving her no chance to even fight back.
As the crime scene was processed, detectives began to piece together the days leading up to Kim's murder, hoping to figure out who could be responsible. On Tuesday, January 18th, the day before the fire, Kim spoke to Sandy on the phone to remind her that she'd be back in York on Friday so they could celebrate both of their birthdays. Kim went to her shift at Foxy Lady that evening and finished up around 1:45 a.m. on the 19th. She signed out of the club and walked to her car with one of the club's bouncers, per Foxy Lady policy, just like she always did. Detectives believe that Kim made the 15-minute drive to her home at 5 Garibaldi Street and entered her apartment building, then down a few stairs to her basement floor. Kim would walk past the laundry room and finally arrive at her apartment door. One of Kim's friends called her several times that morning, worried that she hadn't shown up for class. You see, Kim was never late, so the fact that she completely missed a class and wasn't answering the phone was immediately concerning. Unfortunately, it was likely that by the time Kim's friend began to worry, Kim was already dead. The medical examiner performed an autopsy shortly after the investigation began, which revealed much of what detectives had already concluded. Lieutenant Thomas Jones told WPRI, "Physical evidence and autopsy results show she was stabbed from behind. Her throat was slit." Lieutenant Jones then elaborated, saying it was personal. Her body was then dragged to the bathroom and placed inside the bathtub. Her clothes were taken off her and she was set on fire. It's pretty clear here that Lieutenant Jones didn't think that her murder was random. Continued investigation of Kim's apartment revealed no signs of forced entry. Police believed that the person had access to Kim's apartment and waited for her to arrive home. There are varying reports about the building that Kim lived in, but many say that there was a key that was also needed to get into the building itself, which is common with apartment complexes. So the murderer would have had to either be let into the building by someone or have that key. This introduced a whole new pool of suspects, including apartment maintenance staff, the property manager, whoever it was. They were likely familiar with her schedule, knowing that she would be arriving home from work very early in the morning. Cold Case New England reported that the neighbors noticed Kim's front door was open several hours to her returning from work early that morning. Some speculate that when Kim arrived home from work, her front door was already open. However, this seemed to contradict how safety-conscious Kim was. It was difficult to believe that if Kim came home and found that her front door was open, that she wouldn't immediately be calling for some kind of help to make sure everything was okay inside. There hasn't been any confirmation on whether the apartment door was open or closed when firefighters first arrived. Another report says that one of Kim's neighbors heard a thumping noise on the night of the murder. After hearing it, the neighbor turned their television down and heard something like footsteps. After that, nothing. One of the biggest questions that investigators couldn't seem to find an answer to was about the timeline. Kim was believed to have been murdered shortly after she arrived home. The fire in her apartment wasn't started until hours later. The approximate 15-hour gap between the murder and the fire struck everyone as strange. The murderer would have either had to have left the scene and then returned to set the fire, or they just stayed in the apartment after murdering Kim for quite some time and then set the fire. Neither really made much sense. As the apartment was processed for fingerprints and DNA, detectives found that there were several things missing from Kim's apartment. A safe that had unknown amount of cash inside, Kim's computer, a camera and a camcorder, jewelry, and a stuffed teddy bear. Kim's apartment was very organized, so it was easy to see what was missing.
Kim's family and friends were beyond heartbroken. They had so many questions and so few answers. Kim was magnetic, which brought so many people into her life. And unfortunately, this left investigators with a huge list of possible suspects to track down and interview.
When I was younger, I remember telling my sister that I wanted to be the first female president of the United States. Pretty ambitious goal, I know, but I also know I'm not alone in dreaming big. Maybe you're trying to make dreams come true for yourself as well. And maybe one of those dreams is obtaining your own business. In order to do that, we all know that you're going to need a website, a payment system, a logo, a way to advertise, and it can be really overwhelming and confusing. Trust me, I know from when we started this podcast how overwhelming it can be to launch any type of business. But thankfully, that's where today's sponsor, Shopify, comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started. Paige, what if I can't design a website? Well, Shopify's got you from the get-go with beautiful, ready-to-go templates that can match your brand style. Paige, what if I need a hand? Well, you can get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. What if people haven't even heard about my brand yet? Well, Shopify can help you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And finally, you might ask, well, what if I get stuck? Shopify's always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. Turn your dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/murderdiaries. Go to shopify.com/murderdiaries. Shopify.com/murderdiaries.
When you're doing everything right, working out, eating clean, staying committed, but the scale just won't budge, it's frustrating and honestly exhausting. But that's exactly where Hers can help. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by making access to affordable, medically guided weight loss treatment more convenient than ever. Through Hers, you're connected with a licensed medical provider who works with you to find the treatment option that's right for your body and your goals. If prescribed, your plan may include medication as a part of a comprehensive, doctor-developed weight loss program. You'll get ongoing care, regular check-ins, dosage and medication adjustments, and 24/7 online support, all with no hidden cost and no membership fees. Hers focuses on realistic, sustainable weight loss, not restrictive diets. And it offers access to both oral medication kits and GLP-1 injectables. Oral medication kits start at just $69 a month with a 10-month plan when paid up front. And the best part? Everything is delivered straight to your door with free shipping. If you've been struggling to find a weight loss solution that works for you, Hers might be the place to start. Affordable, accessible, and tailored to you. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/diaries. That's FORHERS.com/diaries for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/diaries. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not approved or reviewed for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety information, and restrictions. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased.
While you're out enjoying the beach, barbecues, and those lovely summer 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing that you're worried about. And that's why you should consider making the switch to Mint Mobile. With plans starting at just $15 a month, Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless service on the nation's largest 5G network. The coverage and speed that you're used to, but with way less cost. So while your friends are sweating over their data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chillin', literally and financially. So say bye to overpriced wireless plans and jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages, because Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. Again, delivered on the largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with you too. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. Honestly, I'm considering making the switch to Mint Mobile myself after all I have learned recently since we started working with them, and you should consider it too. It's definitely a massive price decrease from my current provider. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/diaries. That's mintmobile.com/diaries. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
When you hear Lululemon, you probably think of Align yoga pants, weightlessly soft, like you're wearing next to nothing. That's why you see them in class, at the grocery store, and in the park. But did you know about skirts with built-in liner shorts so you can still jump for the Frisbee? And tanks and bodysuits? With Align's iconic stretch, you won't want to take it off. And with endless style options, you don't have to. Shop in-store or online at lululemon.com.
Paradise is back.
It's finally here.
In a new location, Costa Rica. There will be adventure, drama, and romance.
All gas, no brakes. That's my vibe.
Ready to find some love.
But it wouldn't be paradise without surprises along the way.
These kids need to learn.
That's right. Your favorite Golden alums are crashing the beach.
We bring in a party, baby.
Bachelor in Paradise. New Mondays at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Using a Clorox disinfecting wipe to clean that stuck-on sauce from the stove feels like...
Oh, boy. It tickles. Stop.
It feels like coming home to your needy corgi after a long day.
Best part of the day, finally.
With Clorox. Clean feels carefree. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
On Monday, January 24th, 2000, almost a week after Kim's murder, her family held a visitation at Lucas and Eaton Funeral Home in her hometown of York. The following day, they held her funeral service at her childhood church, York Street Baptist. They then laid her to rest at Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Elliott, Maine. Following her funeral, a memorial fund was set up, and part of the money raised was used to send to Heather, the young girl that Kim had befriended in York. This money was used to send her to summer camp and to play on a baseball team. Investigators from the North Providence Police Department attended the funeral with hopes of identifying possible suspects. The police chief promised the public and Kim's family that all of his detectives were assigned to the case and they were working tirelessly to find out who had brutally murdered Kim. Reportedly, their list of potential suspects was over 24. At the time of Kim's murder, she was just a month short of graduating from cosmetology school. Her friend said that at the time she was helping Kim find a job down in Florida and that she was planning to move down there in the near future. Kim's family felt like detectives were really exhausting all of their investigative efforts in trying to find out who killed Kim. Despite that, unfortunately, as time went on, answers weren't coming. They pled with the public and offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of her killer. Sandy told Seacoast Online in January of 2001, a year after her sister was murdered, that she was grateful that Kim's case was still receiving attention from the media. It helped to keep Kim's memory alive, and it would hopefully bring more information to detectives about Kim's murder. Police Detective Captain Paul Marino told the same publication that they were not letting Kim's case fall to the wayside. What I can tell you is we're still looking for help from the public. We're still investigating in a proactive manner. We have 2 or 3 binders on this case, and we're still interviewing witnesses and reviewing those we've already talked to. Though Sandy and her mother Ruth continued to hold confidence in the investigating police department, it didn't prevent them from feeling frustration and disappointment that no one was being held responsible for Kim's murder. Sandy told Seacoast Online, "It's both frustrating and disappointing, but you can't dwell on that. The police are experts. They know their stuff." Though Ruth and Sandy were doing their best to be patient and put their trust in detectives, others who knew Kim had become increasingly more angry that no suspects had been identified. Sonia first met Kim in 8th grade and lived just a few houses down from the Morse family. She told Seacoast Online, "I think of how violently she died. I think it's odd they don't have any leads. It's obvious the person who killed her was someone who knew her schedule and her personally. It's been a year now, and nothing has happened. Somebody must know something." Sonia's concerns are valid. The gruesome nature of Kim's murder struck everyone and was difficult to forget. It seemed that if someone was going to commit a crime to someone seemingly so undeserving, it was very likely that they knew her. Sandy shared Sonia's thoughts, especially that it must have been somebody who already knew Kim. In her opinion, it would have been very difficult for a stranger to randomly approach Kim. Quote, "Kim was a very careful person. She was very aware of her surroundings coming from a small town up here. She carried mace or pepper spray. She took self-defense course." Kim's mother, Ruth, explained that she was just thankful her husband, Kim's father, had passed away before her murder. Just 6 months prior to Kim's murder, her father had died from COPD, a chronic respiratory condition. As his daughter's protector, it would have broken him to see what happened to his youngest daughter. Kathy, Kim's other sister, wrote a statement to the press explaining how their family had changed in the past year. "A year has come and gone, and the pain of our shattered lives is still quite fresh. Kimberly was our baby. She was Daddy's little girl and the apple of his eye. It's still hard to believe she's gone. Kimmy was a precious gift from God to this family. Was she a messenger to remind us all that life is short? She had a love and life and a curiosity to experience it." Kathy reiterated that Kim's loved ones, despite being anxious for answers and justice, didn't plan on slowing down their search for Kim's killer. Quote, "Kimberly encouraged others, don't give up, nor will we in our search for her killer."
With almost a full year having passed since Kim was murdered, the family tried to have faith and keep looking forward. Sandy explained that, "I told Captain Marino from day one, we didn't have to be updated on a daily basis. When they put the handcuffs on the guy who did it, give us a call, day or night."
At first glance, it didn't seem like anyone could have a problem with Kim, let alone a problem big enough for them to murder her because of it. However, the more that detectives dug into the people in Kim's life, the more it became apparent that there were some people who may have wanted to hurt Kim. Of course, officials have never publicly named any suspects or anyone that they ruled out, but the public quickly began theorizing as to who had motive to murder her. The first person that seemed to be at the top of everyone's list was one of Kim's ex-boyfriends, Anthony. About 6 months prior to Kim's murder, when her father died, she also broke off her relationship with Anthony. During a road trip after the breakup, Kim told her sister Sandy that she was scared of him. Sandy saw her sister get multiple phone calls and text messages from Anthony, seemingly still angry about her breaking things off. At one point, he'd told Kim that women don't break up with him, he breaks up with them. According to Sandy, Kim told her that she wanted to change the locks in her apartment and that Anthony had tried to break into her apartment before. Unfortunately, it's unclear what the investigation into Anthony entailed or if investigators ever obtained a DNA sample or anything from him. Another consideration that was impossible to ignore was the line of work that Kim was in. She had customers at Foxy Lady that visited her regularly, bought her very expensive gifts, and showered her with attention. Despite the precautions that the club took to keep their dancers safe, there was only so much they could control. It was confirmed that Kim left the club alone on the morning of her murder, but this doesn't mean that a patron, who possibly already knew Kim's schedule, was waiting for her at her apartment, or maybe even followed her home somehow. Of course, I do want to reiterate and note that nobody from the club was ever connected to Kim's murder. Captain Marino told Seacoast Online, at this point, it doesn't seem the two are related, but again, we're still investigating. Everyone we spoke to that knew her spoke highly of her. She led a drug-free life. She was a health fanatic. At her apartment complex, we talked to neighbors. They had nothing but good things to say about her and the life she led. Kim's family and friends were well aware that she was a dancer at Foxy Lady and didn't have any reason to think that it was correlated with her murder. Sandy reiterated that the club seemed to be a safe place for the dancers, especially after getting to see firsthand when she visited Kim a few months prior. Quote, I got the total impression that it was a very secure place. Bouncers walked them to their cars, the dancers had to sign in and out, and they weren't allowed to leave with anyone. The manager at Foxy Lady told the media that the club had always enforced those safety rules, that they'd been in place since the club opened. On a Reddit thread about Kim's murder, a poster by the name of Apprehensive Tour 330 commented that they worked at Foxy Lady in Providence as a bartender during the time that Kim worked there. The poster alleged in their post in 2023, quote, I can tell you that the bouncers did not walk us to our cars at night, ever. I mean, it sounds nice and all for the Foxy when it comes to media purposes because they've had their share of newsworthy scandals over the years, but it didn't ever happen at the Providence location when I was there. The poster goes on to say that the owner of Foxy Lady owned another club in Massachusetts and that the bouncers did walk them to their cars at that location. The poster continued, for night shifts, we couldn't leave the building until the bouncers cleared the parking lot of cars/loitering people, but anyone could leave the lot and park around the corner or wait for someone if they wanted to. We also weren't allowed to park in the lot closest to the building. We had to park across the street or down the street a bit in the overflow lot. To say they walked us to our cars is complete and utter BS. Maybe they take more precautions now, but they certainly didn't then. The poster went on to allege that many of the dancers had customers that would get upset when they weren't getting 100% of their attention. Quote, some of the customers who went in there had a lot of trouble realizing the attention they'd get from girls in exchange for giving them tons of money and gifts was all business. There were many, many incidents of stalking and guys being banned from the premises for acting crazy over certain girls. There were definitely quite a few girls who were absolutely seeing customers outside of the club. The poster ended their post by saying, it would have been extremely easy for an obsessed customer to have followed her from the club anytime they wanted to. They could have figured out her car, followed her home one night or many, seen where she lived, and planned from there. Things were definitely not as safe and secure at the club as they'd want you to believe. All the poster's information is alleged, none of it confirmed publicly or by any officials. However, the allegations do reiterate the likelihood and belief that Kim's murderer was someone who knew her. With each day that passed, it felt that Kim's case grew colder and colder. In July of 2001, a year and a half after Kim's murder, Captain Marino told Seacoast Online that despite the time that had passed, he thought about Kim every day. Multiple pictures of Kim were hung around North Providence Police Station. Captain Marino explained, I leave the pictures there as a reminder, not just for myself, but for the other detectives also, that her brutal killer remains at large today. Captain Marino vehemently denied that Kim's case was cold. At this time, it's not a cold case. It's still actively open, but as time goes on, it becomes more difficult.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. The Grateful Dead and Dogfish Head have gotten the band back together with the release of Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale, a light-bodied pale ale brewed with sustainable Kernza grains, granola, and heaps of good karma for a refreshing brew that's music to your taste buds. Available nationwide, visit dogfish.com to find Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale in your neck of the woods. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery is located in Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
When Marino spoke with the Portsmouth Herald, he reiterated that he believed that whoever killed Kim was lying in wait for her to come home, ready to attack. The killer then stabbed her several times before eventually dragging her body to the bathroom. Marino goes on to say that they were unsure if Kim's body was moved to the bathroom right after the attack or if they waited until later. What Marino did know was, quote, her body ends up in the tub, she comes home with clothes on, but her body is nude and set on fire. He also confirms that in the weeks following Kim's murder, detectives questioned multiple people, including friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, and old boyfriends. He did not specify if this included her ex-boyfriend Anthony that we spoke about earlier. There have been no known witnesses to the murderer entering or leaving the apartment, and no one reported noticing any odd vehicles in the parking lot. Detectives searched databases to see if there were any similar crimes nearby that could possibly be connected to Kim's murder, but they came up empty-handed. While that seems like a bit of a dead end, it continued to enforce investigators' belief that the murder was a targeted attack. Marino explains, at this time, we have no definite suspects. Based on our findings, I would say she knew her killer and it wasn't a random act.
Unfortunately, years passed with no publicly announced progress in Kim's case. Her loved ones continued to wait for any leads, any information, or any answers. During an interview with WPRI News, Sandy said of her sister's killer, "I want to see them face to face. I want to see what kind of animal would do that. I can't believe that somebody would do that to her."
In 2014, an anonymous tip was emailed to investigators with the North Providence Police Department. Cold Case New England said that the anonymous tip directed investigators to a rural area of Michigan. Collaboration with Michigan State Police eliminated a handful of suspects, but additional leads were established in their places. This tip reportedly led to detectives being able to take DNA samples from someone that helped them rule out several other suspects. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any further information published regarding the tip, what it entailed, and what it was investigators found, or who they removed from their list of suspects. Kim's case remains unsolved despite the efforts by the North Providence Police Department and Kim's loved ones. In an interview that Sandy did with WPRI in April of 2024, she shows the interviewer pictures that she has of her little sister hanging in her house where she still lives in the family's hometown of York. One of the pictures shows Kim grinning in the ocean, the camera focused on her face as she kisses a dolphin. This picture encapsulates so much of Kim, her love of the ocean, the sunshine, and an endless summer. Captain Marino told WPRI that they have the DNA of the person that is believed to have killed Kim, but they haven't yet gotten a match. Quote, whoever did it has got to be shaking in their shoes because of all the proactive police work being done today with all the technology we're using. It's only a matter of time before we come knocking. So when you think you got away with it, think again. Sandy said that while she still hopes for justice and answers as to who brutally killed her baby sister, she tries to think happy thoughts. Quote, when I think of Kim, I just have to think of her dancing on the golden streets of heaven, so I don't get wrapped up in the case itself. You can't live your life focused on evil. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the murder of Kimberly Morse, contact the North Providence Police Department at 401-233-1430, or you can contact their anonymous tip line at 401-719-1449.
That's it for this week's episode, but be sure to connect with us on social media. We're everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And if you want to listen ad-free, we have a Patreon with completely ad-free episodes. We'll see you on Monday for our unscripted series and next Thursday for another case coverage. Until then,
stay safe.
Bye.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the Roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.
When you're doing everything right, working out, eating clean, staying committed, but the scale just won't budge, it's frustrating and honestly exhausting. But that's exactly where Hers can help. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by making access to affordable, medically guided weight loss treatment more convenient than ever. Through Hers, you're connected with a licensed medical provider who works with you to find the treatment option that's right for your body and your goals. If prescribed, your plan may include medication as a part of a comprehensive, doctor-developed weight loss program. You'll get ongoing care, regular check-ins, dosage and medication adjustments, and 24/7 online support, all with no hidden cost and no membership fees. Hers focuses on realistic, sustainable weight loss, not restrictive diets. And it offers access to both oral medication kits and GLP-1 injectables. Oral medication kits start at just $69 a month with a 10-month plan when paid up front. And the best part? Everything is delivered straight to your door with free shipping. If you've been struggling to find a weight loss solution that works for you, hers might be the place to start. Affordable, accessible, and tailored to you. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/diaries. That's forhers.com/diaries for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Forhers.com/diaries. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not approved or reviewed for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety information, and restrictions. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased.
Well, you're out enjoying the beach, barbecues, and those lovely summer 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing that you're worried about. And that's why you should consider making the switch to Mint Mobile. With plans starting at just $15 a month, Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless service on the nation's largest 5G network. The coverage and speed that you're used to, but with way less cost. So while your friends are sweating over their data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chillin', literally and financially. So say bye to overpriced wireless plans and jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages, because Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. Again, delivered on the largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with you too. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. Honestly, I'm considering making the switch to Mint Mobile myself after all I have learned recently since we started working with them, and you should consider it too. It's definitely a massive price decrease from my current provider. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/diaries. That's mintmobile.com/diaries. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.